We are back here at NHVR with Captain here, and we are going to have a few curly questions that we're going to throw at you, Andreas. Are you ready for this?
I'm sitting down, so yes.
Good job. So the first one is to do with our 24-hour break. Drivers are being caught out there on their 24-hour break, washing their trucks, doing a bit of maintenance, etc. You know, they're stuck out in the middle of nowhere for 24 hours. You can't really just lie in a bunk for 24 hours watching telly.
The NHR has introduced what's called a personal use exemption. It applies to standard hours, basic fatigue management and advanced fatigue management. And some of those activities, which are about, self-care and looking after yourself, may fall underneath that definition.
Yep.
Fundamentally, though, I'm sorry to say that the law has a very tight definition of what work is, and it includes things like washing a truck, fueling it, basic mechanical repairs. Mm-hmm. If the personal use exemption doesn't apply, it will probably have to be recorded as work.
Okay. All right. So there's really, they can't wash their truck.
And that's where I'd draw your listeners' attention towards the review of the Heavy Vehicle National Law.
Yep.
Right now, the National Transport Commission is doing what's called a HVNL review. And that's looking at all of the provisions that are in the law. The NTC is based in Melbourne, but they're very keen to hear from actual drivers and operators, and particularly owner drivers as well, mm-hmm. On the things that are in the law that can sometimes cause problems.
Yeah.
So I would encourage all of your listeners to actually make their comments heard at the National Transport Commission.
Okay, next one is who makes the rules on our work diaries and our work hours?
So the National Transport Commission, again, actually has the responsibility for setting policy. When the policy is set, they then translate that policy into rules, the Heavy Vehicle National Law.
Okay. And so you guys really don't make the rules, and you're just there to enforce the rules, I guess.
Administer the rules.
Yeah.
So we're the agents.
It's a nicer word.
Well, it's not just about enforcement.
Yeah.
We're here to make sure that things like work diaries are there for sale. You can access permits for access.
Yeah.
Yes, we have an enforcement arm, but it's part of the business, not all of the business.
Yeah. Okay. And do you know? Can you answer the question as to why our fines are so bloody high?
It's an interesting thing because a lot of the fines were dropped when the HVNL was built.
Right.
So the penalties actually used to be higher, and in some states and territories there used to be demerit points associated with them. So the Heavy Vehicle National Law did actually introduce some lower penalties. But the penalties are based on the perceived level of risk. Mm-hmm. And that's an analysis that the NTC did at the time.
Okay, all right. And we can, again, the NTC is having a review, so if we have an opinion on that, we should definitely have a chat with them.
If you Google HVNL review,
yep,
you'll find they have their website dedicated just to the review, mm-hmm. and you'll be able to actually still have your input. Right now, they're developing options, and now's the time to actually tell them your experiences.
Yep. So this one's a real curly one, Andreas. So let's set the scenario. We pull in at a weighbridge, and the officer goes through our logbook. He signs it in red pen, and off we go. And the next weighbridge comes up, and that officer pulls us in, and he decides that he's going to go back before the last officer's signature, and he finds fines there. Okay. Now, for me, I kind of would think that officer who first signed the book, if there's problems before that, then he should take responsibility for that, because he's initially sending the driver away with the idea that he's done the right thing, when in fact this next officer is saying that he isn't doing the right thing. Do you understand what I'm talking about?
I understand what you mean, and so I think I'm going to disagree with you here. I'm sorry, Kylie.
Okay.
The annotation in the work diary is actually a record of an intercept. It's not a testimony on what's happened in the work diary before that point. It's there to give the driver a record that an intercept occurs, so that when they go back to base, they can actually say to their boss, look, here's an authorised officer's record of the time that I spent.
Right.
The signing of the book is not a comment around what's happened prior to that time.
Okay, so it's just a record that
It's
you've been intercepted.
purely a record that you've been intercepted.
Right.
Each authorised officer is allowed to look at the last 28 days as a minimum of records.
Mm-hmm.
If you're carrying 100 days, they can look at 100 days. That's part of the law.
Mm-hmm.
And if they find an issue, they can then decide how best to manage it.
Yeah.
Whether it's letting you know about the issue, whether it's a fine, or whether it's actually something that's serious enough that might warrant going to court.
Okay, so I think that what we need to realise is that red signature is not, it's not a record of that you've been doing the right thing or the wrong thing. It's just a record of being intercepted.
So the police are independently authorised by the Queen to work in all of the states and territories, and so we're not part of their command structure, but we do work closely with them, and we are finding, especially where the NHVR's got the state safety and compliance officers, so Tasmania, South Australia, Victoria, ACT, we're finding that the relationships that we formed with the police are helping the police understand the law a lot better.
Well, I think that's it for today. I don't think I have any more questions or any too curly ones, so I'm sure there will be in the future. If you guys have any comments or you have a question to ask, please don't hesitate to give us a call and we can drop on back and have a chat with Andreas. Other than that, I will see you in a couple of months' time probably.
Thank you very much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Bye, guys.